so early right now. It's like, not really, it's like 10 o'clock. Hey guys, I've been having such a great time, you know, sharing some content, uploading videos, and it's been really kind of therapeutic for me. And honestly, I love it so much. It brings me so much joy to share a part of what I can create, and also just kind of share my love towards YouTube, but also, you know, sharing a tad bit of my life as well. And like I said on my Instagram IGTV, I love each and every one of you. I know I don't have that many subscribers, but just know that I love each and every one of you. And I will admit that a lot has happened within the past 2 months of my summer, and I have to say it's been the best summer I've had in such a long time. Not the fact that I graduated from my community college with my degree, but the fact that I haven't had this much of a good time in quite a while. And I believe the last time I actually had a decent time during my summer was when I was 18, graduating from high school as a senior. So that's sort of a long story. For those who know me, which I mean by that as in my closest best friends, some family, they know that I have been through quite a lot in my life for being so young, and let's just say that it takes a lot of growing and a lot of learning, and also just a lot of self-discovery to become a much more stronger individual. And let's just say for me, it was quite the journey to get where I am right now. And there's so much that I have been through in just my life alone. It's crazy, and I always tell people that are younger than me, that who are in high school, like, because I love, you know me, I love teenagers. Like, that sounds crazy for me to say, but I do, like, I really do, because for one, I believe that's a part of your life that you go through quite a lot, and it does occur in a time period where you're just trying to discover who you are, where your place is in the world, and on top of that, just undergoing so much, you know, depending how your situation was. It can be really crazy from ages, you know, from ages like 13 to like 18, or even like 11 to like 21. Like it changed, it's crazy. And for me, during that time period, I will admit that I was bullied by different kinds of people, including, you know, myself. And when I mean myself, I mean being afraid of who I was, and on top of that, being so hard on myself to the point where it drove me to doing things that would harm myself, that would harm my body, that would kind of mess up with my mind. It was really bad. So let me get into this whole sort of deal and a part of what I had gone through. When I was 16, let's just say that it was a time in my life where everything was very confusing. I had a lot of trust issues because of the fact that I kept my circle very small when it came to my friends. And on top of that, I was sort of going through an identity crisis because I really didn't know where I wanted to be or who I wanted to be in my life. And let's just say that 16 was a very fascinating and interesting age, not only surrounding my friends, but also on my family. It was a it was a fun age at some times, but for me, in my case, I felt very miserable with my life, and also I wasn't satisfied where I was at the time. I attended a high school that was known to have a great reputation of having really pretty girls who attended there, and and I'm grateful to say that I was friends with some of them, because either some of them are really, really, really nice and sweet, genuine, beautiful people, and the other half were just very, very evil and conniving and manipulative, along with just being crazy and very mean to others. And all of them were very beautiful, but the fact was, at that time, I believed that I wasn't. Like, to attend a school where the majority of the girls are really pretty, I didn't feel like I fit in. I mean, it may not look like it now, but believe me, like, when they say people glow up, they mean people glow up. Yeah, at that time, I was very insecure with my body and with myself, which kind of, really showed during my times when I was 16 in high school, like from sophomore to junior year. And let me just tell you, high school was like being in heaven, but in the middle, for 2 years, junior or sophomore and junior year, it was hell for me. And I mean hell, it was horrible and miserable for me, because of the fact that I was always picked on by others, and the fact that I was different from everybody else. Obviously at that time I was very introverted. I didn't really like put myself out there, except for the clubs I was in, which I meant by keeping my like circle small. And there was a time in high school where, I'm 16. I'm eventually gonna have some crushes here and there, and I like had a crush on this one guy, because someone had given me the idea that he wanted to go out to the dance with me. And during that time, the dance was, for those of you who are very familiar in America, the dance was called Sadie's Hawkins. It's when the girls ask out the guys to the dance, vice versa. So, and I had one of his friends, the person who tormented me, one of his friends gave me the idea that he liked me, and obviously I'm 16. I'm a naive little girl, and I believed anything anyone would say, because of the fact of how insecure I was, and the fact that I didn't think I was the most prettiest girl in school. And I thought that was pretty cool, because guess what? Like, I decided to build the confidence of asking him to go to the dance with me. So the day comes, I come up with this cute little idea of asking him out to Sadie's, and I pretty much decided to get a fortune cookie, take out the old note out, and put a note in asking him, would you go to Sadie's with me? And it was really, really, really cute at the time. And then I was in my dance class, and him and I had the same dance class, and one of the girls warned me, saying to me and telling me, don't ask him out. And I'm like, why? Just don't ask him out. I'm doing you a favor by telling you not to ask him out. And I didn't care. And I realized that he kind of telephoned to her, telling her that I don't want to go to dance with her. I'm not interested in her. I don't know who gave her the idea of me liking her, but I don't want to go with her. And I was obviously very embarrassed at that situation, because of the fact that how I was already rejected before even asking this person out to a dance. So it was kind of embarrassing, but then, I was a little sad over it, and I was like, I didn't really care much. It was just like a crush. It's not like I really liked him, like as if I wanted to date him, but it was whatever. So I moved on from it like during the week. But then after that occurrence, things started to change, and it felt very uncomfortable, because for me, I wasn't the smartest person in high school, and I was just in regular ed classes, and he was in AP classes. And the problem was, our classes aligned at the same time frame and like next door to each other, but his friends were also in my class and he was in the other class. So I would see him practically every day or every other day. Like, and you know, so it was awkward. Just like imagine that, how awkward that is. And especially if you take classes with his friends, like, because they have like the same schedule as mine, so it was really kind of awkward in that situation. And things began to really change. Like, his friends would ask me, did you really think he actually liked you? Like, do you think you're really all of this? Like, who would want to go out with you? And I obviously brushed it off my shoulders at first, but then it became very consistent to the point where my insecurities were off the like roof, because these guys would not leave me the fuck alone. Like, it was freaking crazy. It was so bad because his friends were in my class, and then when he saw me, he would either make this kind of like evil, like devilish grin, or he'd be like, ooh, like he would hurl, like literally hurl, like as if he was gonna like throw up whenever he saw me. And it was his way of telling me that, oh my god, who the fuck would want to go out with you? So obviously I was like, whatever, dude, you're really immature. But then things kind of got really bad, like when time like went by. So I was in class one day, and this was in my English class, and like I said, most of his friends were in my classes during that time frame. And one of his friends, would always bug me, telling me, hey, are you a virgin? Like, have you ever slept with anybody? And at that time, I was someone who was super, super religious. I still am today, and I believed in, sex after marriage, or, I didn't believe in premarital sex. I was totally against that, and I still am today, like, but hey, we all grow and we learn. He would ask me these questions, and I obviously was like, look, I am not interested in anything like that. I don't think I even attract anybody because of how I look. Like, I'm just not that type of girl. Just telling him the truth. So then one day, sorry, this is kind of like, it still disgustes me till today. So then one day, I was doing like my work in our English class. I was just just writing like whatever paragraph I had to do, just doing worksheets. I don't know. I was being a good student, like just doing my work. And his desk was like kind of like, so I'm sitting right here and his desk is across from me right there. So him and I are kind of like face to face at this table of desk, like together. So then I was doing my work, and I was like, I was like writing, middle of writing, and this guy, he grabs my hand, like while I'm writing, he grabs my hand and puts my hand on his crotch, and then yells out, ew, Christina, stop touching me. And I was like, what is going on here? I was like, what is going on here? And then everyone automatically turns as soon as he says that, and the teacher's doing whatever the hell she's doing without paying attention. And then everyone just looked at me in a whole different perspective, and I was literally caught off guard. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know if it was a sick joke or just to like fuck with me, but like it was. Let's just say from then on out, my life from there wasn't the same anymore. From that situation, I was already marked being a slut or some whore or someone who was seeking to have sex, and I wasn't. Like I said, I was someone who was very religious and didn't have interest in any sexual activity. So then from there, all these people would make fun of me and call me all these names like fat, ugly, you sluts, and someone who just wants like the D, blah blah blah. And then like at this time, Facebook was really like blowing up really big, and at school I just felt like I just didn't want to go to school anymore. I don't want to go to school anymore. I just wanted to stay home at one point. And then when I would come home from school, it's like it's like this shit would never end. I would go on my Facebook just to talk to my friends on there, because I had a friend who attended another school who I would talk to like every day, and literally I would get random messages about, you know, sleeping with other people or having me sleep with other guys, and I would get called fat and ugly and stupid, and it would be all over my Facebook wall, along with like my messages on there. And at one point, like, I don't know how someone got my number, but I ended up getting these anonymous text messages telling me like, hey, you should come over and sleep with me, or you're just a little whore and you're a little slut, and you're just this fat and ugly piece of like shit. And it just like blew out of proportion. I didn't think like me being rejected by somebody would end up being into this big entire mess. And it was so crazy. And it got to the point where there's only so much a person can handle, and I couldn't deal with it anymore, to the point where I hated myself. I hated who I was. I hated what I looked like. I felt like I shouldn't have. It just felt like I shouldn't have been here at the school. And I will never forget the night where it got out of proportion. So I was on Facebook one day, and then a friend of mine posted a status saying and talking about Adam and Eve, and how like he was like Christian. He was Christian, or actually no, he was more of a he was like Christian, and then this other guy was Buddhist, talking on there about like Adam and Eve. And I come in there like, hey, look, you know, I'm Catholic, and I, you know, I've studied this for such a long time, like, you know, like, because of Bible study and whatnot, and, you know, catechism. Then comes in the guy who rejected me to Sadie's, who was an agnostic, telling me that I didn't know what the hell I was talking about when it came to Adam and Eve. And I was pretty much defending what I believed in against someone who didn't believe in much. So you can see where that conflict became a lot more worse. And he was telling me like, you know, you're really full of it and you're stupid. And I was like, look, why don't you do yourself a favor and leave me alone? So then he replied back on that status saying, look, nobody wants you here. Nobody wants you here. You shouldn't be here. So you might as well just kill yourself right now. And like I said, this was on Facebook in front of a lot of people that I knew. And I was like having it that night, and I didn't care at that point anymore about myself. So then I replied back saying, fine, I will kill myself then, if that's going to do everyone else a favor. And from there, people began to make fun of these suicidal marks, saying, LMAO, you should just do it, or ha ha ha, you're so ugly, and also how, bitch, just kill yourself, no one wants you here. And these were all people who defended him. And at that point, that's when I decided, I just broke down in tears. And it was the first time I ever had the urge to want to kill myself. So then I go to my parents' room and get these over-the-counter pills, sleeping pills, and at that point I was going to kill myself, because there was so much I can handle, and I hated myself so much. Like, I hated myself, and you know, I was 16 at the time, and I decided to take like over-the-counter pills and misuse them as supplements to make my body feel numb. And that same night, I went to my bathroom when I got the pills. Like, when I was done getting the pills from my parents' room, I went to the bathroom. Went to my bathroom, locked the door, and then filled up the bathtub, like, with water, with hot water, very high, with, like, hot water. And then I get the bottle of pills, and I put, like, a handful, like, a palm full of them in my hand. And I go in the shower, you know, like, I go in the shower, like, butt naked. And then, so my whole idea of that was to take a bunch of these pills, you know, like, down all of them, and then, like lie down in the bathtub full of hot water, and when I eventually fall asleep, I would just drown. So I pretty much would overdose, and then along that, like, drown myself in my sleep. So then that was the plan. And then you know, I felt something stopped me, like, something stopped me. And then at that moment I felt so afraid and so alone, because it was pretty much like me against a whole army of people who didn't like me. And it was really bad, because it drove me to the point that someone told me to kill myself. And also on there he said that, like, you know, like, you shouldn't be here, no one wants you here, like, no one's ever going to love you. Like, what guy out there would want you? And the thing is, like, the worst part about that is that I carried what he said about nobody is ever going to love you for a very long time. And at that time, like, all I wanted was for someone to love me. And it didn't matter if it was a boyfriend or a friend or a family member. I just wanted someone to like, be there for me and understand the kind of pain I was going through. And I stopped myself from that. Because I felt like something was with me in the bathroom. It felt like God was with me. And at that time too, I was trying to discover who I was religiously as well, with God and with Jesus and everything along with that. And that was a time when my mom put me in confirmation and catechist classes, because if you're Catholic, you do baptism, communion, and, like, you know, confirmation. And during that time, you know, I was discovering who God was. I was given a lot more knowledge about who he was. And a couple months later, I went on a retreat with my confirmation class. And honestly, like, I can say till today, it was like one of the best weekends in my entire life, because, you know, I felt God, and I felt God along with my cross trainers, like my youth group leaders, and with my small group. And pretty much, like, I didn't know any of these girls. I just met them over the weekend. I didn't know any of these girls, and they ended up being, you know, one of the greatest people I ever met. And till today, I still know, like, my cross trainer and my other one the following year, who I'm very, like, you know, who I adore so much. And, like, these girls practically guided me towards the right path in my faith. And, you know, being bullied was such a traumatic experience for me, especially how insecure and afraid I was, how afraid I was of myself. And then the following year, I became a junior, and the bullying kind of mellowed down a little bit. But then my sophomore year, I forgot to mention, I was really overweight. That's why a lot of people called me, like, ugly and fat, because no one wanted me, because who wants a girl who's fat? And, you know, I was a junior, and then that's when I was very, very depressed, and I had a lot of anxiety built up in my head of, like, worrying about who's gonna pick on me today, who's gonna be mean to me today, who's gonna call me who's gonna call a name to me, you know? And it's like really messed up what these people did to me. And it's like, I hated myself at that time to the point where I didn't want to eat anymore. And I lost a ton of weight during my junior year. I lost like 10 pounds within 2 months, like, and became 20 towards the end of the summer. And it was crazy because I was so depressed and miserable about who I was. So I looked really bad, and I would cry myself every night to go to sleep, to the point where there were like no tears left in me. And it was such a horrible time for me to experience. And then at one point, you can tell, if you were to ever approach me, you can tell that I was hurt because of the way my eyes looked. I just looked like so exhausted all the time, and made my appearance very, very sad to look at, because you can tell, like, oh, this girl is having it right now and looks very miserable. Well, I was miserable and I was depressed, and on top of that, I lost a lot of weight. So that became a part of me at one point. And when I opened up to my best friends about what had happened, they felt very sorry and apologetic towards what happened, because they asked, how come you didn't come to me? Why didn't you tell me? I could have beat those guys' asses up for you. And the same reason why I didn't was the fact that everyone else in my life at that time, you know, sophomore year is a difficult year, like, emotionally and academically. And I didn't want to be more baggage on someone else's life who's also struggling like me. And it was really bad because, you know, I'm someone who loves to make people happy. And in the clubs I was in, like dance, choir, like Catholic club, like music club, I was someone, you know, even tutoring, I was someone who was always making others laugh. And I was just a goofball, and I was always smiling. Then as soon as I got home from school, I would just entirely shut down, and I became this zombie. So I can say that I had a mask on for quite some time, and people thought to themselves, why in the world would someone want to hurt or pick on someone as nice as you and sweet as you? I don't get it. Until this day, I will never know that answer either. People can be really cruel and evil in this world, but one thing I've learned from my entire experience is that I'm proud to say and happy to say that I'm glad I went through that in my life, because it really shaped and changed who I am as a person. I mean, yes, it was a painful transformation, but I'm glad I overcame all the fear built up in me, and all the people who would torment me and did like fucked up shit to me. And it really helps me till today in the real world. Like, there's people who can really get on my nerves, but I'm not afraid to tell how it is anymore. I have no filter. Like, if you know me, I will say something to you if you hurt me or anyone who I care about. Like, just don't at me. I mean, yeah, I can be petty sometimes too, but it is what it is. And people ask me all the time, like, don't you ever, like, want to hurt the people who, like, made your life feel miserable, or do you ever want to, like, hurt the guy who, like, tormented you, the main person? And I can honestly say that I don't hate these people. I mean, I have every right to, but I don't hate them. And I don't hate the main guy who rejected me to Sadie's. I don't hate him, because for the longest time I did at one point, but then I realized that I don't want this heavy burden on me of always having a hateful heart and always having a negative mindset, because in the end, nothing was going to change. I felt miserable, and I didn't feel like as better as them because they hated me for who I was, and I can't just, you know, I want to be far from who they were, because for me, at the end of the day, I learned that over time that love is what healed me. Love is what healed me and got me through the end of the day, and was light in the tunnel along with God, because God is like everything to me. Like God is like the reason why like I'm still like pushing forward. Like he's the reason why like I'm even still breathing. And if you know somebody, or if you are going through what I went through with like bullying and depression and anxiety and self-image, just know that you're not alone. And just to talk to somebody, like please talk to somebody. And that's one thing I regret in my life, is never telling anybody like what had happened to me. And I feel like this whole situation could have been prevented if I had told an adult or a friend or even like a family member what was going on. And so I felt like I fought alone, but just know that you're not alone. And I wasn't alone. I thought no one loved me at the time, but I had a whole army who did till now. And just know that you are beautiful and you're a strong, amazing individual, and don't ever take into consideration by someone saying that you're not, because it's fucking bullshit. Like, you're amazing, and the things that you were gonna do in the future, I believe that my life was stuck from there. And it's crazy how, you know, it's like that one, it's like my favorite scripture in the Bible, you know, Romans 8:18, the pain you are feeling does not compare to the joy that is coming. And I carry that on my sleeve every day, because it doesn't matter how bad of a day I have or how horrible my week was, just something better is gonna come and fall into place. And it's true. Like, when life brings the worst at you, later on comes the good. And it's hard to believe, but it has happened to me. Like, I almost drowned myself in the bathtub, and I'm somewhere in a place where I have never felt any happier with my friends, family, my boyfriend, who's like amazing. And I'm just so grateful to God. God is, you know, my anchor, and he always will be. Aside from that, I hope some of you are, you know, I hope all of you are okay right now, because I know, like I said in my IGTV, that we all struggle each day with something that occurs in our life. And just know that you are an amazing individual who has an amazing journey ahead of you. And all I wish upon each and every one of you who are watching, to remain positive, and just know that you are loved. And when you are loved, it gives you the courage to even love yourself more, because you yourself are very important. Like, I mean, it's easier said than done, but like, you are amazing. And anyways, this video is probably long as hell right now, but because I'm a babbler. But anyways, I hope all of you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And for those of you who are going back to school, good luck. If not, then enjoy your work and whatever you're doing. And it doesn't hurt to smile, because a smile is what, you know, brings out the beauty in anybody. So, you know, I love you all. You're amazing. I love you. God loves you. And until next time, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you all again. Keep saying love. I love the idea of love. Until then, I love you all. So, laters.